Here's problem 2. It wants us to take these two coordinate points and find the slope, the distance, and the midpoint. Now remember with slope is simply, we usually use m to represent slope, and it's simply the change in our y's divided by the change in our x's. It's going to be a single fraction or a number answer. It's not going to be an ordered pair. And it's just talking of how steep really something is. So we do the change in y's. So I want to subtract my y's. Now you can either do 4 minus 1 or 1 minus 4. It doesn't matter. I like 4 minus 1. So I'm going to go 4 minus 1. Now here's the key. Since I started with this 4, I must start with the x value because I used him first as the y, so I got to use him first as the x. So it's going to be negative 3 minus negative 5 there. That minus negative is going to change to plus. So we're going to get 3 on top. Negative 3 plus 5 is 2. So the slope in this case, and we can leave it as an improper fraction. This is the one time you can do it. The slope is 3 over 2. Now what about the distance? The distance is saying, hey, from this point to this point, how far is it? How far do we travel? Well, if you remember the distance formula as we talked about in class, it's the square root of the change in your x's squared plus the change in your y's squared. So, now the reason we have this is because what you're really doing is the change in your x's, you're looking at how far over it went, changing your y's, how high up it went, and you're finding the distance between these 2 points. You're using the Pythagorean theorem because the difference of the x's is going to give you right this leg. The difference of your y's is going to give you this leg. And notice you then do this squared plus this squared equals c squared. That's why I have the square root. Square root of the change in x's squared, here's the change in y squared. I'm going to get those added together just like you would in the Pythagorean theorem, and then I'm going to take the square root. So, change of x's. Didn't we already do it over here? Doesn't really matter, you can do however, but I can see the difference of my x's. The difference between negative 3 and negative 5 is 2. So that's going to be 2 squared. Difference of my y's, the difference between 4 and 1 is going to be 3 squared. Once I do this, that's the change in y's, that's change in x's. So you already have it once you come to this anyway. That's going to be 4 plus 9, so simply the square root of 13. We can use a calculator, or we can leave it, square root of 13 is fine. The midpoint. Okay, if we have a point and this point, we're trying to find the dead center. Well, what we really want to do is we want to find the middle of our x's and the middle of our y's. So that's pretty easy to do. The midpoint is simply we're going to go ahead and just like you would find the middle of your grades back in school when you're in 5th grade, you made an 80 on a test and a 90, you added them together and divided by 2 to find the middle. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to add our x's together. So what are our x's added together? Negative 5 and negative 3. So we're going to add our x's together and divide by 2. That'll be our x coordinate. We're going to add our y's together and divide by 2. And that'll be the middle of our y coordinate. So here's going to be the point that's going to be in the middle between these 2 points here. Negative 5 plus negative 3 is negative 8. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. 5 divided by 2, I'm going to go ahead and write that as 2.5. Gives us a better sense of where it is. So this is what we do to find the slope, the distance, and the midpoint. 3 main concepts there that we need to work on.